Hey, it's Andre, and I saw Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This review is probably gonna be all over the place because this movie is also all over the place. Like, the best way I can just describe this movie is, you know how the first one people were saying, like, it's a new movie, but it has the vibe of a 90s, 2000s superhero movie or action movie? This one feels like it legit came from the 90s or 2000s. So what you remember that's good about that and what you remember that's bad about that, Venom, Let There Be Carnage got that. I look at Venom, Let There Be Carnage and be like, all right, y'all back on that old stuff. This movie was kind of all over the place for me. There's some things I liked about it. There's some things I was kind of meh about. I think overall the movie has some really good ideas, but just the execution for me just felt a little wonky. For example, the relationship between Eddie Brock and Venom. Eddie and Venom kind of have this odd couple slash buddy comedy slash bromance type of chemistry. They just have a very interesting dynamic. There's sometimes when Eddie and Venom are together where it is hilarious, it is amazing, it is great. And then there's other times where I'm like, I can tell what you're trying to do here and I'm not feeling it. And I think it's because there's some things that were kind of an unexpected surprise in the first movie. And I feel like that was something that just kind of happened, whether it was with Tom Hardy's performance with the CG goo with a face, or if it was just something that was in the script. But either way, it just seemed like a thing that kind of happened. Whereas this time I feel like they're trying to make it happen. I feel like they try to force some of those things that kind of happen organically in the first movie, and that's why sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Also, there's a lot of talking with Eddie and Venom. Not a lot of action. I mean, some action eventually happens, but I was thinking with this being the sequel to the first movie, you would feel like this movie would start with like some big epic action sequence with Venom that then could lead to some of the arguments that they have throughout this movie, but not really. And for the Eddie Venom dynamic to be one of the better parts of both of these movies, without saying too much, this movie has a moment where Eddie and Venom are not together. And that for me felt like it was a little bit of a lull, even though it did lead to a very cute scene of Venom at a rave. Woody Harrelson has a good performance as Cletus Cassidy, the serial killer who becomes Carnage. He has this menacing presence about him. He's almost in kind of his own movie because he is definitely playing that serial killer vibe. He's scary, but he's also kind of jokey sometimes. You just don't know what to expect from him. You could say that he's a natural born killer for this role. His performance is great. His hair is fixed. Thank you for that. Some of his dialogue is really good. Some of his dialogue is kind of cliche movie serial killer dialogue. Everything I say sounds like a riddle. Like, some of that's a little much, but his performance I thought was really good. And Carnage in action is great when it happens. When he becomes Carnage, when we see Carnage in action, when we see Venom go up against Carnage, all that stuff is great. You gonna wait for it to happen. You'll be watching some scenes going, isn't there a Carnage around here somewhere? Venom, you over here, and Carnage, you over here. When y'all gonna get here? It's taking some time. But when Carnage is showing off, that's some good stuff. I enjoyed that. Ironically, I also feel like the movie is too short. Like, the movie is just over an hour and a half. And don't get me wrong, I think an hour and a half is a good amount of time. But watching how this movie is edited, watching how it jumps from one plot line to the next, from one scene to the next, I don't want to start anything here. I'm not trying to ask for an Andy Serkis cut, but there's just something about this movie where I just go, I feel like this got chopped up a little bit. Like, either there were some scenes they wanted to do, but maybe couldn't do because of 2020. Or maybe they were like, hey, the movie theater business is not what it used to be, so let's make this movie short so we can play it more times in the theater per day. I don't want to accuse them of chopping this movie up, but there's just parts of the movie where I look at it and go, I feel like there was more there. And normally I wouldn't be so hardcore about that, but this movie is throwing a lot. For a Venom sequel, there's a lot of plots. You got Eddie and Venom, then you got Carnage, then you got Eddie trying to deal with Anne and his relationship with her before versus her new relationship. You got this police detective that's on the case, and there may be something more about him. Oh, and I almost forgot about Shriek. Yeah, there's a woman in this movie that has Black Canary powers, just screams and sound comes out, blows you back. How did she get these powers? Because we haven't seen it yet in this type of movie. Movie doesn't care to tell you. So I don't know. They like read a comic book. Well, however, one of my favorite characters in this movie, Mrs. Chen. Mrs. Chen, the shop owner from the first movie, she's really good in this movie. Like, I liked all of her scenes, and there's one scene in particular that I really enjoyed. I was cracking up. I was like, this is my favorite part of the movie. Can we just have a Mrs. Chen spinoff? The other thing that cracks me up about this movie is it wants to be a rated R movie so bad. Just when Venom's about to bite someone's head off and you're thinking it's gonna get all bloody, you can just feel that PG-13 man popping up going, nope. And Venom's all like, fine. Oh, bite off screen. Bad things happen off screen. People get hurt with no blood. You got a serial killer in this. You know they wanted to go there. And PG-13 man was like, no, no, no. We need to get them kids to come see this movie too. Hey kids, who wants to see the movie about the alien symbiote that's going up against another alien symbiote serial killer? Huh? Doesn't that sound like fun? Who needs the Addams Family? I think that some people will come out of this movie really liking it because I think it works a lot stronger towards the end of the movie. Like the final act of this movie, I was really into it. Like that was the part where I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the stuff. This is what I came for. And the movie's like, cool, here it is. Movie over. What? But there might be some people who are really into the buddy comedy stuff with this movie. And I understand that. And I liked some of it. But the movie to me just feels a little unbalanced. Like I feel like if they would have put a little bit more of the action, kept the stronger parts of the buddy comedy stuff, flesh out the story a little bit more because there are legit some parts of the story that are missing. And I feel like this could have been better. So I didn't hate the movie. It just felt like something was missing. The whole time I was watching, I was like, I'm not hurting with this, but there's just something that just feels off for me. But there are parts that I like. I like Venom. I like Eddie and Venom. I liked Venom versus Carnage. You don't have to wait for it, but when it happens, I was gonna say, hey man, this movie is forgettable. You know, you go see it, you turn your brain off, say whatever about it, and you move on with your life, and you'll never think about it ever again. I thought we would never speak of this movie ever again. Then the after credits scene showed up, and I'm not gonna say what happened, but that changed a lot of things. Like this movie I was about to just throw away. They were like, oh, wait. This movie is now more important than you thought it was. Not gonna say what happens. You will definitely get spoiled if you go on the internet long enough. You will be spoiled by this after credit scene, but I'm just saying, it's exciting, it's concerning, and it's also exciting. I don't know how to feel. I really don't know how to feel about this movie, man. Don't hate it, but wish I could have came out of it more rah-rah about it. I'm just more like, if you want to see it, it's on you. If you don't want to see it, you ain't missing anything. Except for maybe a scene or two after the movie ended. Are you planning on seeing Venom Let There Be Carnage? Or if you did see it, what did you think about it? All right, that's it. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000. Bye.